Hello and welcome to Tonalist Paintings by M. Francis McCarthy. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting we are doing today is called River at Dusk. Now, last week we did the 5x7, and this week we're doing the larger version, which is a 16 by 22. And you might notice that I'm not painting over my usual red underpainting here. I'm painting over the top of a painting that was not very successful and that I was very unhappy with, and it's going to be gone. It's underneath this other painting now. So I've done a lot of this lately. I'm kind of wrapping up the year with a bunch of these, especially since this last year I really endeavored to get myself to paint larger and larger sizes, and consequently, I think I had a few more. Well, I don't know if I had more failures or not. It's hard to say. I'm always failing all the time, but this one that we're painting over certainly was that. And what's really cool is that I'm super happy with River Dusk 16 by 22. It's currently hanging in my studio, and a lot of people are commenting favorably on it. And you know, the painting underneath was just something I tried and I wasn't able to do, and that's okay. Um, will this video be preserved for posterity? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, that's a big question, but at some point maybe they can x-ray my painting and it will find this other painting underneath that's just nowhere near as good. Anyway, so this is the first week that I started doing double podcasts, or blogcasts, I guess we could call them. Yesterday I put up the first of what I'm calling the 25 Days of Tonalism, and I'll be rolling that out, one of those a week. And today we're back into our normal flow. So we did a study for this last week, and now you're seeing the larger one. So everything's basically the same, except you're getting the addition of the 25 days once a week, which, you know, I had all those videos done, I had all those paintings done, and I just thought it'd be good to release it while it's still fresh, because at some point here I'll probably be running in another 25 of those Tonalist studies for next year. So we're getting kind of close to the end of 2016, and it's been a pretty good year for me. And one of the reasons for that was the 100 Days of Tonalism that I did back in 2015 really gave my painting a boost, even though they're small studies I'm doing, but it helps me to learn and absorb something good from other painters, and at the same time it helps me fill up spare moments in the studio where I might just be sitting there twiddling my thumbs looking at YouTube or something like that. So how did it go last week in the studio? Well, I'm still getting back from vacation, but it's definitely settling in now, I would say. What I did yesterday, which was Saturday here. This is Sunday. Actually, this is Sunday. Is it the 20th? We don't even know. Yes, Sunday the 20th today. Yesterday I did I think it's 14 by 14, and this was a scene that I had actually composited while I was on vacation when I had some spare time, and was basically showing my brother-in-law some of my processing secrets in Photoshop, which, at some point I probably won't unveil in this blog, but at some point I might do I'd like to do a class or something in that. It's a really key part of my process that I don't actively share online, but I have a real extensive background in Photoshop. I worked as a commercial artist and illustrator for about 13 years, and although I was doing a lot of drawing and inking and things outside the computer, I did most of my painting and coloring inside the computer, so I'm very familiar with working digitally and very comfortable in that medium. However, when I attempted to start doing paintings, landscape paintings, inside the computer, I found that it wasn't going very well. I did do a few that I thought were successful, but ultimately it pushed me to just doing actual paintings with actual brushes and paint on actual boards, and I've been doing that for about 8 or 9 years now, and I'm really still into it quite a lot. So I did this 14 by 14 yesterday, and I was, it's funny how little things, pardon me, I've got a bit of allergies today. Little things that you might miss. I did a study, and the study I was real happy with had a lot of chroma, and it was real bright, and the study's sitting right there on the wall across from me, but I'm working on this painting, not realizing that I've adjusted my reference monitor to desaturate colors, and I'm laying in colors that are really kind of flat and dull, and then as I'm walking out after painting in the sky to go to the bathroom there, I'm saying, wow, I really like the chroma in that. So when I came back, I like, well, I'm going to inject a whole bunch more color into the sky, and that's what I did, and that kind of got me thinking about I do the study, but a lot of times I only refer to the study on the larger painting when I'm going in with my second color pass. But the reason I do that is, if you'd ask me, I would tell you I don't want to serve two masters. I don't really want to refer to my photo reference necessarily at the same time as a study. But I did a bit of that yesterday, and it actually really worked to the benefit of the painting. Really helped me simplify things and get things up and off the ground. And so I think I'll be doing a bit more of that. So it's funny how you find small ways to adjust and reevaluate your painting process on a constant basis. At least I do. It does get fairly incremental after a certain point, but little things can really have a big impact, and that had a big impact yesterday, and so for that reason I'm kind of taking that on board. I could, of course, just generate my painting from the small study alone, but I kind of like to synthesize that scene. By the time I've done the first color pass on my larger painting, I've painted the scene over about 4 times or more, so it really becomes kind of synthesized with my personality, what I'm into, what I'm trying to accomplish, and that all started, of course, from the moment I saw the scene in nature and took a photograph, but of course starts moving through my Photoshop process with my reference. And then the thing about the studies, of course, is that you have to focus on composition and color. You really can't get too nuts with detail. You can see right now in this painting I've just moved into my second color pass. And another thing that distinguishes this painting and all these paintings I did before I left was that I decided to limit myself to 2 color passes and to leave it alone, because I'd noticed as 2016 had been progressing that I was giving myself a 3rd color pass, and not much was changing in a good way with the painting from the 2nd to the 3rd color pass. And this is an advantage, of course, of doing the videos. I can really see that, and I can say, wow, I probably should have just stopped there. And so I determined that I would only allow myself 2 color passes on all of the both my studies and my large paintings, and I'm sticking to that. I really am. There are times when I might see something very egregious while it's sitting there in my drawing area, and I might just get a brush and put a hole in a tree, or do some small thing that needs to be done. But I have got about 5 paintings I've just completed, all painted over the top of less successful paintings, and I feel like it's a really awesome way to kind of wrap up 2016 and get those stinkers out of my inventory, and I feel really good about doing that. And I have some small ones too that I did a lot of repainting this year. Actually, in general, I cut a lot of what were 8x10s down to 8x8s, and gussied them up a bit. I have a few more that size, but I have so many in my inventory that size that I'm pretty much just focusing on larger things right now. But yesterday's painting went good, and that's always great. And got a few more set up to do next week, and that's going to be hopefully awesome as well. And I guess the last thing I'd say is, while I was on vacation, I collected a lot of awesome reference to do paintings. Maybe, oh my god, it's hard to say how many, but I'm really looking forward to doing up some of the stuff I've got. So I can see we're getting close to the end here. Thanks for joining us today, and if you like my stuff, you can go to landscapepainter.co.nz, check it out. You can follow the blog through there. And I'll be back next week with another 25 Days of Tonalism and another one of our own pieces here. So meanwhile, take good care and stay out of trouble.